This is the Future of the Future show. I am your host, Mateo Berbejillo. Today's guest is a leader who has proven time and again that true success starts in the mind. Des Hague is a globally recognized CEO, author, and leadership strategist who has led multi-billion-dollar organizations across industries, from hospitality and retail to sports and philanthropy and way more. Des is the author of Think Your Way to the Top, a year-long leadership journey designed for ambitious entrepreneurs and corporate leaders who want to think clearer, lead stronger, and scale smarter. He's also the founder of the Thinking Academy, an initiative created to reshape how leaders learn, grow, and most importantly, think about thinking itself. In today's conversation, we will explore how Des came to see mindset as the true differentiator in leadership success, the pivotal moments that shaped his leadership journey, and how he is helping the next generation of leaders think better, lead better, and also live better. Des, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And what a wonderful intro. I want to play that on loop from now on. Thank you, Mateo. I really appreciate being here, spending time with you today.
Thank you. Let's get started. You describe your book as a 52-week journey for training the mind. What moment or realization first made you see that mindset and not just skill set was the real differentiator in leadership success?
It's a great question. I go back to, my 9-year-old self. My mother had passed away. My father had remarried a raging alcoholic, very, very abusive, hospital visits, scars, bruises, stitches, just a daily beating for several years. And in that moment, I just knew that wasn't going to be my life's, epitome. It was going to be, I wasn't going to define or let others define me. And I had this belief that I was just going to be successful. And I thought about it every day. I grabbed onto it in those really dark moments. And I delivered on that commitment on a daily basis, even when I wanted to crawl and curl up in the fetal position. So from a very, very young age, it was about what you think, you become. It's about choose your thoughts very carefully. I didn't know all the buzzwords, Mateo. I didn't know the nomenclature. I didn't know, the right strategic imperatives and the big words, because I also was dyslexic and had a very difficult early childhood. But I painted images in my head that I was going to be a successful business guy. I wanted to be a successful soccer player, but unfortunately, ambition has to be matched with talent, and I didn't have enough talent. But it was always in those moments, that the darkest moments, that what you think you become, if you can survive and move forward. That's why my one word of my life is onwards. It's like move forward. Don't allow yourself to get dragged down. And they were the defining moments for me that has made writing my books and my business career and everything else that I've done, become possible.
It's an amazing story. Do you think that success was the only option for you? You were in a place where defeat was not an option, and all you could think about was success because you wanted to just go away from the place that you were?
Well, it was really about surviving. If I'm being really candid, it wasn't about, hey, I'm going to be super successful. No matter what my mindset was, it was about, can I get through the next day?
Right.
Can I survive this beating? Can I protect my brothers from a unbelievable beating that most people would never want to have and endure? And so it was more about, hey, I'm going to do anything, whatever it takes to survive. and then that manifested into a mindset and a mentality over time when I got into the business world about application.
Hmm.
It wasn't like somebody had to tell me you had to work hard. I knew hard work was going to pay off.
Right.
That's what led to the success. But it wasn't really, I knew, I thought about it, so it was going to happen. I thought about it and it was like, I need to survive. I need to survive this next beating, if you like.
Right. Can you walk us through one of your favorite weekly exercises or prompts from your book?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think just to set it up, Matteo, I mean, thinking your way to the top is how I think I operate, like my operating system. It's a belief that every day is an opportunity to become better. So if you approach every day saying this is going to be a great learning experience, doesn't matter what meeting, doesn't matter what problem you have, doesn't matter how many, alligators are nipping at you, how many priorities that you've got, how many, seemingly bad guys coming at you like John Wick, my day starts with it's going to be a beautiful day because I'm not 6 foot under the ground and I've got an opportunity to live in this gorgeous place that we call Earth. And it's a pleasure and it's a privilege. And so what can I do? I can apply myself. I can wake up and usually my day starts off with I get up, I have a coffee, I do Wordle, I kind of get my face, I mean get my day kind of start off, then I'll hit the gym, then I'll have my second coffee, breakfast, then I hit the day. I hit the office. And then, through that process, I look at every single meeting like this and others. I've got a full day today, next 6 hours of back-to-back meetings, but I don't look at it as, purgatory. I look at it as, isn't it awesome that we have this opportunity to live and grow and become better and hopefully lift others up in that process as well. It's not all about me, my. It's about how can I have a positive influence on people? What are you doing today? So, it's that personal mantra. And I think in between, Matteo, because you asked me specifically, as I'm having my coffee, I'm thinking about my affirmations. I'm thinking about mindfulness. I have a 15-minute session as I've consumed my coffee just to sit there in stillness and think about how lucky I am. I'm thankful for my family, my friends, my opportunity, my health. I mean, I had an accident several years ago when I fell off a ladder from 26 feet, landed right on a rock, broke 4 ribs. It deflated my lung in hospital for a week. And it was painful for several months after. But the reality is how lucky I am to be alive.
Yeah.
And I think that I was, you're given these chances, maximize the chance. So I'm always looking at it from an optimistic perspective. That's how I start my day. And if I can make every day a never stop learning day, what a beautiful thing.
Yeah. 100%. Do you think there was something you said about also giving to others? Um, the older I get, the more I think that there's some sort of universal karma thing that it really comes around, right? There's really something that you take out that in some way it's not directionally proportional, but it's an energy thing with the universe. Maybe it's the attitude. I don't know. Do you believe in something like that? Do you believe that the more that you are disposed to have?
Yeah, I think that my life really is about lifting others up. And if it's not, then you should look at yourself in the mirror. It's like Michael Jackson, man in the mirror, be what the change that you want to be. It's ironic, Matteo, is this month, I'm making the month of November a pure month of every day talking about how we lift some others up. And those lifting others up could, you lift others up by doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You lift others up by being a good coach or being there for them, reaching out. How many friends and family members do we know who, I lost my best friend in through COVID.
Yeah.
I mourn that, I mourn Tony Sparacino every single day, but I also rejoice him every single day. I miss him
Yeah.
deeply, but he had such an powerful impact on my life that I'm living for him as well. So I'm lifting myself up through thinking about my friends. So This month, every month is a day that we are lifting others up. It's a universal movement where it's on the LinkedIn platform. I hope people will join in. And there's so many ways to do it, Matteo. So for me, my wife and I like to, just, find people who are doing, doing a great job, maybe struggling a little bit, and giving them a little lift up. And that means if it's a crisp $100 bill once a week, we love to go into restaurants. We love to, if it's the Uber driver, if it's your server at the grocery store, if it's somebody who you meet on the bus or the tube or on the plane, there's ways that you can lift others up. We've got to find that. And like you, I truly think what you put out comes back. Now, it doesn't always feel that way,
Yeah.
particularly in the cancel culture craziness of social media. You know, and we've all got to remember this. People will hate you or like you, and they don't even know you. They just formed an opinion.
Yeah.
And that's what we've got to fight against. It's like having God on one shoulder, the devil on the other shoulder. And you've got to fight constantly to make sure that you don't allow the darkness to suck you in. So you become a cynic. So you become, one of those Twitter rage people, the keyboard carnivores. I always look at this. I live in a glass house. I am human. I make mistakes. I've made some horrendous mistakes. But do we all want to be judged by those mistakes? No. We should be looking to lift others up. Be the positive person in somebody else's life. It
Yeah.
could be the difference between life and death. Seriously.
I love what you just said, and I think social media has a lot of that, right? And there have been so much exercises of putting people that say certain things in social media in front of the other people, right? Who they are bashing or whatever, and just have them have a conversation. And nobody will say the same things they say in social media when they are face to face to people, right? And that's what I think we should remember. Are you really going to say this to that other person if you're face to face with them? And if not, why do you think it's nice or whatever to say it on social media, right? And so that's it's very very important.
Yeah, I think you said it right. It's the depersonalization of living.
Yeah.
When you can do it in a dark basement of your parents or your, grandparents' home, and you can send out rage. You can do that, but once you're face to face, it's a different. But then we see the violence on the streets as well,
Yeah.
and then you
True.
have to question, what on earth are you doing?
True.
Peaceful protest means peaceful, not mainly peaceful protest. No, peaceful. Have a point of view. Do whatever you want to support that point of view, but in the confines of normalcy.
Yeah. So you have led billion-dollar companies under pressure. How does mental discipline look different in the boardroom compared to when you are writing, mentoring, or in different situations?
Yeah, yeah, great question. Clearly, it's about who you're communicating with and how you communicate at different levels in an organization. So if I'm at the board meeting, it's going to be more strategic thinking. It's going to be, more transformational type of thinking. I always think about when I'm with the board or when I'm with my executive team, it's creating a future that you can get behind, if you like, and be greedy about what you're trying to achieve. So you can be long-term greedy. How do we make this the best? What are we going to do? Have we got the right talent? So it's the thinking that goes on in a boardroom that's different than when you're mentoring somebody. It's more about, okay, where is that person? I got to find out where I'm meeting that person so I can elevate them. And you can't throw 15 doors open at once. It's got to be bigger, better, fewer focuses. What I mean by that is if you're mentoring or you're developing somebody, it's about doing bigger, fewer, better things.
Hmm.
Pick the three things that make a difference, focus on those individually, and so you can get compound growth. But you can't throw everything that that person needs to have at a period of time because it's called overwhelming overload. So it's just being mindful about where people are. But the underpinning thing is if you're not kind to everybody, shame on you. If you're not trying to lift people up, shame on you. If you're doing this because you want to make yourself look good against others, shame on you. If you're a hater who wants to rage against people, shame on you. That's what we should never do. We should have a code of conduct that says, I don't work with idiots. I just don't want to work with idiots. I don't want to be around idiots. I won't want them in my life, and I'm going to reject them.
Yeah.
And I call it, you have to cultivate your life. So I think you can be very, very focused, but not short-term stupid. I'm not like thinking about, okay, I need to do these things that just because I want to be busy or I
Yeah.
want to be seen to be important. Just do things right, and usually you will get the credit that's there.
What is the Thinking Academy, and what gap in leadership development were you trying to fill when you founded it?
Yeah, well, I go back to my early career. My wife was running Pizza Hut Europe for operations and training. I was an area manager and then an operation manager at the time in England. And, I was on a trip where my wife was representing PepsiCo at the time. And, I asked about where's the strategic imperatives of the company. And, Cal could talk to my wife, could talk to her, area, but really didn't get a full grasp of where's the massive organization going. And you could say, well, that's just about communication, or that's a gap, or he's maybe, Cal should have understood it better, or they should have communicated better. I don't want to get into that. But it kind of really crystallized my thoughts of, because I had ambitions in those early days, my mid-20s, that I was going to be a CEO. I wanted to be a CEO. And I said, one of the most important things is that we should never question where a company is going. That should be known by the people inside the organization. So how do you do that? So that got me to thinking about how I would do that. And so as I went through my career of running multiple companies and startups and, challenging software companies and data analytics more recently, or being on boards, it came back to what are the fundamental things that I believe is important for somebody to succeed in their career, agnostic of if you're in tech or if you're in retail or if you're in food service or hospitality, agnostic to where you are in the business world. What are the underpinning thoughts that can maximize you and propel you to the best that you can be? That was the genesis behind Think Your Way to the Top.
And so, two questions in one. How many people have gone through a Thinking Academy approximately so far? And then, how do you measure if they are successful or not after they leave, right? Is it about getting promoted? Is it about a mindset shift? Is it about something deeper? How do you think about that?
Well, we've just launched it, Matteo. We've got 19 Fort Sherpas that we're calling. So this is me and 19 highly qualified, been there and done it global executives. My partner in crime is Tom Park, who is the principal trainer with myself. Tom was the former president of Walt Disney Retail for their global business. And he's done several things since that. He's a tremendously powerful thinker. And then we've got the former CEO of The Limited, which is Victoria's Secrets and others. We've got the
Right.
former president of Safeway and other organizations. So these people have all been there and done it. We've just actually come together this year, um, and we've gone through our first beta program where
Right.
we've taken 20 people through the program because we want to get the kinks out as well and get our learnings. Just like I can't say to everybody else, you should never stop learning if I don't learn myself, So
Right.
it's like almost face mirror, look, do what you ask others to do. Um, the second question, I think it could be like a Chinese menu. It's a buffet, if you like. And for me, once, I am going to track promotions. I think there's some hard and soft metrics. So promotions is going to be one. It's also about um, impact that these people have on their organizations. And maybe, how many promotions do you get from president, Matteo?
Yeah.
Not many. Yeah. So you got to be careful about those metrics as well. So if you're talking with C-suite, it's different. It's different dynamics. Are they a more rounded person? Are they a better place to handle diversity and stress and challenges? So there'll be lots that we'll be reviewing in 2026 and beyond to specifically get to answer that more concrete, that question or those two questions.
I love it. So the academy focuses on thinking about thinking, right? Can you go back in your career and share an example of how changing someone's thought process changed their results? You've led so many people across the world, right? So going back to that,
Yeah, I can go back. I think it might be more illustrative if I go back into my own career as well and give you some
right?
case studies from that. So I'm, I've left school at 15. I'm homeless. Um, I'm living in a park in underneath a bush, and things are pretty bleak, to say the least. Um, but a friend of the family had a fish and chip shop, and I knew I could get a job. But I also knew it was about 12 miles away. And I also knew I had no money. So what did this guy do? He got up from the bush, no toiletries, and walked to get a job.
Yeah,
And then got that job and then worked like a year and a half flat out every day to succeed in that job and ended up running that fish and chip shop, opening the first video store in the region of the country I was in, also opening a convenience store, and then other businesses on top. And this is by now a 17-year-old. I was on a 50cc motorbike and I was going around those businesses, opening up different parts of them at different times of the day and doing all the accounting for those businesses. That's mindset. That's like you will do whatever it takes to succeed in specifically on companies. So now it's 1994. I'm in the UK. One of the largest hospitality companies in Europe is a company called Whitbread. They had 1,600 liquor stores, alcoholic, booze bonds type of things. The company at the time was going through some tremendous financial difficulties and said, well, one of the ways we need to do is we need to streamline the business. Now, Matteo, you won't get this. This is before computers were a thing.
right.
Okay. We had pen and paper, we had spreadsheets, printouts, everything paper. The company wanted to go completely paperless. So they introduced me as in my mid-20s to come in and without being a propeller head, write down the reports that I wanted to see and how I wanted to see results. And then we had a development team who would come in and develop those reports. And they all became a program called SURF, Searching Underneath Real Figures. That was the acronym SURF. And that actually won the Project of the Year award, IT award in the UK. That's just taking one example of saying, okay, how do we change the way that we do business? The next year, as we all know, anybody in business, one of the key components of your P&L is your labor line. And I had the idea that we could actually streamline and do labor scheduling at a level that had never been done before. Basically, we would bring in second and third and fourth employees when you hit the volume targets that needed to be hit. It was all done by paper before. We did that. It was called ALGAM, Automated Labor and Grid Model. And we put that in. That won the next IT project of the year. So it was back to back UK awards. that revolutionized. Now everybody's got labor scheduling systems,
Yeah.
everybody's got flexibility systems. That was the forerunner for them all. And so it's about always thinking about how do you make the business better? My whole mindset is every business that you have, you need to be humble enough to say, I'm only the custodian for a period of time. You're not the end all and be all. There will be others after you, and accept that. Now, how do you make it better while you're there? How do you make your stewardship count? And that's what I focus on. So I'm always kind of antenna up. If you say never stop learning, you better be a never stop learner. You
Right.
better understand the business. Where's it going? What's the addressable markets? I always come back to three simple questions, Matteo. What does the customer want? Can you make money? And can you build, sorry, what's the customer want? Can you make it and can you make money? So those things need to get asked and answered. So it's no point saying, hey, I think the customer would love this new gizmo, but it'll cost me $10 to build it and the customer will only pay two. Not a winning proposition. So I know it's not that easy. You should say, well, you got more confidence that you should sell it for 12 if you think it's that good. But it's not always like that. It's like what's happening in the industry? Where's the industry going? How can you predict that better than anybody else in the business that you're in? And that's called antenna management. That's always having your antenna up, looking for unique ways of making you a better, more special, more differentiated business.
You've done a lot on your career. It's amazing. It's an amazing story and very powerful. And you have grown in scale very fast and very big, right? Um, and so there's a lot about that antenna management and being tuned into what's going on and the next great big idea. But there's also something about executing and keeping all the parts moving, at the right time and at the right place. Um, what do you think there's one or two superpowers that differentiate you? Do you think you got all of that right? And how do you manage through the scaling up, right? Because what I've seen is people have, some people have great ideas and they can sort of execute them in a small scale, but when they go big and you went like super big, it's a different challenge. It's like moving a cruise ship, right? It's a different thing.
Yeah, I think that, to me, you've already said the word that I think is so important, and that is execution. And Ram Sharam has got a great book out there, Execution, and he talks about a formula that I've used all the way through my career, and it is R for Roger equals M for mother times V. And that means return equals margin times velocity. So think about how you can apply that in your life, in your execution to help you think. Another book I would recommend to everybody is The Innovator's Dilemma by Anderson.
Mm.
And he talks about Metcalfe's and Moore's Law. I'm not going to get all technical on you here, but those two books have been fundamental force multipliers in my life. So I think the one thing that we all need to think about here, it's not about how smart Des or Matteo or you are, it's how smart can you get? And you can do that by if you're a person, you can say, hey, I can read, I can learn, which is great. I can see, I can learn, or I can see, learn myself, and then learn from others.
Mm.
Why do we think we've got the lock on smart? So my view is, and throughout the Think Your Way to the Top, there's a reference of 3 to 4 books for every fort exercise. There's 52 fort exercises. There's 3 to 4 books. There's 150 to 200 books that I believe everybody should have read.
Right.
And that's the bare minimum. And then it's like levels above that. To me, it's like, there's not an autobiography of any business leader or politician or future past, you know, um, statesperson, Julius Caesar, Plato, you name them all. We should have that locked in. That's how we get book smart, but also people smart and knowledge smart from living through other people's experiences. You can live that. You don't have to personally have done it, but you can live through their, experiences and get that learning that just powers growth. So execution is so critical. And I take execution over strategy and culture and everything else. That you can't poorly execute well, you can poorly execute a brilliant plan and you'll have a flawed launch. So for me, execution is the back end, the most important, but it starts with the most fundamental thing, Matteo, and that is talent.
Yeah.
When I was at PepsiCo in 1994, I get parachuted into Poland. We're going to open up 5 restaurants in that year. We opened up 54,
Wow.
54, not 54. It was the big project, and that came, and I tagged onto it. The number one asset of any business is talent. Get as much and as diverse talent as you can. And and I mean diversity is thinking.
Yeah.
I'm not into ticking boxes. I want to only hire the best in every single role. It's completely merit based. There's no favoritism. There's no quotas. Give me the best. I'll give you the best results. No, if I want to help talent evolve, that's called a development role and a
Yep.
development program, which Think Your Way to the Top really is. That's a development program. But I'm not putting people in positions to fail who aren't ready for those positions because I want a quota to fill. Flawed thinking. So I come back to talent. Talent will drive the right service. Service will drive the right, will deliver sales, and enough sales will deliver the profit. So
Yeah.
it's always people, service, sales, profit. If I try and do that in any other combination, it's not as effective.
Yeah.
So the most important thing when I think about scaling, I think about taking Turbo Chef from really a garage in Dallas to being in every single food service, restaurant, hotel in the world, or if it's Hot Stuff Foods, where we went from a $90 million business to a $300 million business, or Centerplate, Safeway, 7-Eleven, any of those, it always starts with, have you got the right talent? And have you created that load bearing player? You got to think about load bearing. Have you got your foundation right? Once you've got those key players in place, then you scale. And I see so many people who don't have that foundational load bearing skill set in place. So when they do expand, all they've got is nightmares. I can't replicate it. How many brands do we see fail? I mean, Matteo, 92% of small businesses fail within 2 years. When you go from one to something greater than one, I haven't got the systems in place. I haven't got the principles in place. Haven't got those load bearing players. Because how many people can you touch, Matteo? You can't go to more than 7 restaurants
Yeah.
in a day.
Yeah.
So if you're a restaurant, an area manager, and you've got 15 stores and you're the load bearing weight, business crumbles
Yeah.
all the time. Suboptimum, load bearing talent, get the best, hire the best, retain them, train them, motivate them, and empower them.
I love it. This. So it's Sunday. You are thinking about the week. What drives you? What gets you excited about the week coming ahead?
Uh, well, it's opportunity to in move your agenda forward. So think about it this way: it's like it's a marathon. Life is a marathon. I don't like doing marathons, and you name one person who is successful at running a marathon in sprint mode. Now, the best of the best who can do it in a few hours, it's like unbelievable. But the mere mortals who are doing 3 and 4 hour marathons, we're pacing. And that's what life is. It's like so for me, when I'm looking at yesterday, thinking this week, and we got some awesome things happening this week, we got some challenging things happening this week. But everyone's is moving the agenda forward consistently with knowledge, helping the team grow with you, taking them through learning and coaching, and also evaluating your own performance. Say, am I carrying the water that I should be? I can't say be load bearing and then I'm weak and wanting to take, days off. He's like, put the work in. Hard, like I love what Roger Federer said. He was my favorite tennis player, or is my favorite tennis player of all time. And he phrased it really well. He said, if you want to be successful, if you want to get to that 1% and be that 1%, and that's why when people say they want to be a leader and they want to be a CEO, they want to, that's the 1%. That's the rarefied air up there. So I'm not trying to say everybody's got to live like this, but if you want to be great, then as Roger said, put the hard work in. There's no getting around it. So people who want to, get their 15 minutes of fame and they want to be a billionaire and they want to be a TikTok sensation and they want to do it all before they're 25, there may be a few people who do it. But for the 8 billion who don't, I'm not being disparaging. It's called hard work. It's called application. Sometimes you get a lucky break. Fantastic. Good for them. Most people are doing it. Success is grounded in hard work. It's the 2 and 3 a day training sessions. If you want to be a great athlete, ask Michael Phelps how many laps he did. Ask Apollo Ono how many laps he skated. Ask Tiger how many practice sessions he did. Thousands and thousands and thousands to do what they do. It's no different in business. Why should it be different in business? Put the work in. Learn, evolve, learn through others. Be a sponge. But never, ever, ever, ever allow yourself to not make sacrifices for what's important. Because if you make the if you don't, what becomes the sacrifices is what you thought was important.
Hmm.
And that's a big mindset. It's like I'm focused on being CEO, I'm focused on being a leader, I'm focused on whatever that goal is that person wants. But if you're not putting the time, you're not putting the effort, you're not learning, developing, training, advancing, you're just talking.
Very true. Um, One last and random question to you, Des. What do you do when you are not working?
That's a good thing. I love to work, and to me, like there's criticisms of this about how much can you be switched on versus switched
Yep.
off. So I want to be very careful here. I would tell you that I think that my ability for work output is advanced, and it's that way because I focus on what's really important to me, Matteo. I make conscious decisions. The average person is on doom scrolling social media platforms for 6 hours a day. 6 hours. You think about it, 20 years ago, 58% of people's time was spent with family and friends. That's now 2.5%. What's taken over everybody's life is social media and platforms. It's that 58% of their life is spent on social media and platforms. Technology is dooming our mind into doom scrolls. I spend no more than 15 minutes a day on LinkedIn. I get on, I follow the people I follow, I advance my thinking, I support people who I want to support, and then I'm off. So I tell you that I have an extra 5 hours and 45 minutes to do things that other people have dedicated their time for social media. I can achieve a lot more.
Yeah.
So, you know, I look at every day as a personal day that I can learn. So every day I want to learn. So when I'm switched off, is I'm reading. I'm at the gym at least, 5 to 6 times a week. I'm I'm meditating 15 minutes in the morning. If I can, I'll do it again before I retire. So those are, and then it's been with family and friends. This weekend I was with my family in Florida. Next week I'll be in New Orleans. I travel around. I'm on several boards, so that's what I do. It's like it kind of fulfills me to always be renewing and learning. So even when I'm switched off, I think it's learning to help me better at being a person and a business leader. It's like taking both and applying them at the same time.
Des, thank you. I appreciate it. This has been an amazing conversation. For everyone listening, think your way to the top, the Thinking Academy. Just go there and check it out. And if you really want to hit that leadership level, there's a lot you can start doing, right? And if you go through the book and 52 weeks, exercises for every week, a lesson for every week, books recommended for every week, so much for you to learn. Thank you, Des. I appreciate it. And I hope that we can meet again in the future and do this again.
Of course, and I would say, Matteo, everybody can go to thinkingacademy.co. They are programs that you can take a 30-day challenge that you can work with me and the team on and a whole year program. I promise you it'll be transformational, but get the book and I hope it is. I'd love your feedback and make me better as well as you're making yourself better. That would be a beautiful thing. I wish everybody onwards to success. Thank you, Matteo.